All right. I am joined by Stephanie, front of house manager for Nobu Hotel, London, Portman Square.
A very long name.
How are you?
Very good, thank you. Pleasure to be with you, Jason.
Yes, thank you for joining me. So how has it been for you the past few months as a hotelier?
It's been tricky. So I actually moved back from Barcelona, where I was previously based, just when everything was kind of kicking off. So from a personal perspective, well, personal and professional, it was difficult as I was leaving my old team behind as such, just as everything was happening. And from a personal perspective, it was difficult for me as I had some, let's say, personal things going on at home due to the pandemic. So I was kind of trying to juggle both, and also obviously speaking to my new team as well. As everything was happening, there was a lot of delays and everything was being postponed. There was a lot of uncertainty. So it's been a tricky few months, but I think the industry as a whole has really kind of pulled together. And I think we're really resilient as an industry. So I think we'll get through it for sure.
Yes. So you're on the pre-opening team.
Yes.
And you opened a hotel amid a pandemic.
Opening, yes. It's been interesting. First time
What?
for
Was there any, I mean, I'm sure there were discussions about, hey, maybe we should wait.
Mhm. So we are currently, let's say, at the final stages of actually officially opening our doors. So there has been a lot of discussion in terms of, do we want to go ahead full force and just open up and let the city know we've arrived, or obviously be sensitive to everything that's been going on, and from a, I think, budget perspective as well, just be really mindful. So we are planning to go ahead with our opening date. It's been interesting more, I think, from making sure everything is in place to make sure our guests are fully comfortable, they feel safe, and a lot of things that we've never really thought about. So every touch point needs to be reconsidered. We're trying to be, let's say, as digital as possible. So trying to minimize that guest contact. Something as simple as our regular check-in, we're trying to take on kind of mobile, so that it can be done digitally. So it kind of breaks that guest experience side a little bit as well. But we're doing our best to try and compensate and try and find new ways to connect with the guest, without necessarily needing to be in front of them.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the Nobu Hotel, for those who don't know.
So Nobu is still pretty new, I think, on the hotel landscape. Obviously, Nobu, I think, as a restaurant is famous internationally. They've kind of really branched out into hotels. We're 13 hotels, with more in the pipeline. And obviously, it's a partnership with Robert De Niro. I think everyone knows
Who?
that side of things. Who is
Yeah.
that? So Robert
You
De
talking to
Niro
me?
is our executive chef, Nobu
Yep.
Matsuhisa, and Meir Teper. And they've kind of really created this, I think, beautiful brand where they've kind of said, we've always partnered with hotels. Why would we not do that ourselves? Why don't we go into hotels ourselves and kind of really take a piece of that market? So Nobu Portman Square has partnered with Nobu, of course, but we're also owned by L&R Hotels. So we have quite a special partnership there. L&R, they own a huge portfolio of hotels, including a lot of our country properties. So it's been really interesting with the recent pandemic and kind of the progress with getting guests back in their hotels. We've seen with our country hotels especially, they've been reaching 80, 90, 100% occupancy in the last month or so, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But hotels are struggling a little, which is expected.
Yeah. How are the other Nobu hotels doing? Are they in cities or?
So the Nobu hotels are a little bit of both, I would say. They're city-based and also resort-based. So some of them, I think, are gearing up to reopen. For example, our closest sister would be Shoreditch. We have a hotel, Nobu Hotel in Shoreditch, and they are gearing up to open in the coming weeks. So in 2 weeks' time, they're anticipating to open their doors. Obviously, London, I think, is quite different to, let's say, the properties in the States, places like Miami, I think are in a very different space to us. So a lot of things are changing daily, weekly. So it's really a case of observing government guidelines and kind of trying to be smart and figure out what is the best way to reopen our hotels.
How is London? Are the cases stable? Are they increasing, decreasing?
You hear different things. It keeps changing. So
Yeah.
London, just even today, has implemented new guidelines. So they've spoken about this kind of rule of 6, which is quite confusing. It's not very clear.
Yeah.
And that's just been implemented today. So this weekend, I've been walking around the city this weekend, and everyone's been out in big groups, kind of drinking, eating, seeing their friends. It's kind of
Yeah.
like that last pool to have fun. No, there's been a lot of changes, and it hasn't been very clear, I don't think. So people are still going out. People are still really willing, I think, to be out, eat out, even staycations. We've had colleagues just this weekend traveling, staying in the UK, of course, staying in England, but kind of really trying to get away and get that, I don't know, kind of that, let's say, holiday hat on, because they've kind of missed out this whole summer, really, this whole period. So
Right.
just get away from everything and relax, really.
Right. Well, when are you guys scheduled to open?
We are scheduled to open the first week of November.
Okay.
A little bit of time.
Yeah. And the expectations right now?
In terms of sticking to that date, or
Well, let's say you open. Expectations for bookings. Are you just you figure maybe people are staycation for the holidays, kind of thing?
Our cost at the moment isn't high,
Oh yeah.
just because it keeps changing, but we kind of want to play it safe and kind of anticipate how the market might pick up. But again, even just a month ago, we were expecting something completely, even 2 weeks ago. And then suddenly the cases increased by quite a lot. So we're really kind of playing by ear. And I think from a more human perspective, kind of from the recruitment piece, it's been really difficult for us, because we are kind of stopping and starting and stopping and starting with candidates who are waiting. And they've been really understanding with the whole situation going on. But I think from our perspective, we really feel for them, because they're waiting for an answer that unfortunately we cannot give at this time.
Right. Right. Well, with the time remaining, Stephanie, any advice for hoteliers going through this?
I would say, I think there's so much focus on the guest, and absolutely you really need to find ways to kind of personalize those experiences and really set yourselves apart from every other hotel experience the guest might encounter otherwise. But I think don't forget about your people as well. Kind of take this opportunity to develop them and increase their expertise. And kind of, we talk a lot about lateral service, so kind of train them up and give them the opportunity to really shine through all of this as well. And then from a guest perspective, find ways to personalize those guest journeys as much as possible. Now more than ever, because you really need to stick out in the guest mind. And if they're traveling, it's really a risk for some of them. So make it worth their while and make them feel special.
There you go. Some good advice. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for joining me.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time, Jason. Take care.
You bet.